Sequence of tenses. Meaning and use. Reported or indirect speech is used to relay what one person says to another. For example, he said that he was coming to the party. In every speech, the word that can be omitted, especially after the verb said. For example, he said he'd resigned. Study this example situation. This is Paul. I am feeling ill. You want to tell somebody what Paul said. There are two ways of doing this. You can repeat Paul's words, direct speech. For example, Paul said, I am feeling ill. Or you can use reported speech. Paul said that he was feeling ill. Reporting verbs. The most important verbs for reporting speech are obviously said and asked. However, there are many others, some of which add extra meaning. For example, demand means ask in a forceful way. Here are a few: replied, told, complained, confessed, reported, demanded, suggested, claimed, answered, denied, confirmed, shouted, added, persuaded, announced, screamed, agreed, etc. One step backwards. A common guideline is the tense in the reported part moves one step backwards in time, but you can't go further back than the past perfect. So, for example, a sentence that was spoken using the present progressive would be reported using the past progressive. However, despite this pleasing regularity, it isn't always true. If a situation is still true in the present, we can choose whether to use a present form or a one-step backwards one. For example, direct, I live in Paris. Reported, she said she lives in Paris, or she said she lived in Paris. It is not always necessary to change the verb in reported speech. If the situation is still the same, you don't need to change the verb to the past. For example, direct. Paul said, my new job is boring. Reported, Paul said that his new job is boring. The situation is still the same. His job is still boring now. Next example, direct. Helen said, I want to go to Canada next year. Reported, Helen told me that she wants to go to Canada next year. Helen still wants to go to Canada next year. You can also change the verb to the past. For example, Paul said that his new job was boring. Helen told me that she wanted to go to Canada next year. But if the situation has changed or finished, you must use a past verb. Paul left the room suddenly. He said he had to go. Here is a table of direct speech and reported speech in present simple, past simple, present progressive, past progressive, present perfect, past perfect, and etc. All demonstrative pronouns and adverbs of time and place in the subordinate clause must be changed so suit the meaning of the sentence. This to that, these to those, here to there, now to then, or at the moment, today that way, tomorrow, next day, the following day, the day after tomorrow, 2 days later, yesterday, the day before yesterday, 2 days before, day ago, days before, last week, the week before, next year, the following year, tonight, that night. For example, she told me I will come to see you tomorrow. She told me she would come to see the next day. Tom and Bob told me, we need your dictionary. All personal and possessive pronouns must be changed depending on the person from whom the story is told. Tom and Bob told me that they need my dictionary. When we use reported speech, the main verb of the sentence is usually past. Paul said that, or I told her that, etc. The rest of the sentence is usually past too. For example, Paul said that he was feeling ill. I told Lisa that I didn't have any money. You can leave out that, so you can say, Paul said that he was feeling ill, or Paul said he was feeling ill. In general, the present form of indirect speech changed to the past from the reported speech. Compare direct speech and reported speech. You meet Anna. Here are some things she said in direct speech. And later you tell somebody what Anna said. You use reported speech. For example, my parents are fine. In the reported speech, Anna said that her parents were fine. I'm going to learn to drive. In the reported speech, she said that she was going to learn to drive. Let's practice. Yesterday, you meet a friend of yours, Steve. You hadn't seen him for a long time. Here are some of the things Steve said to you. For example, I am living in London. My father isn't very well. Rachel and Mark are getting married next month. Now let's see the first example. Later that day, you tell another friend what Steve said. Use reported speech. First, Steve said that he was living in London. You may practice other sentences yourself. Next example. Somebody says something to you which is not what you expected. Use your own ideas to complete your answers. For example, it's quite a long way from the hotel to the station. Is it? The man on the reception desk said it was only 5 minutes walk. You can practice other sentences yourself. Say and tell. If you say who somebody is talking to, use tell. For example, Sonia told me that you were in a hospital. Not Sonia said me. Next, what did you tell the police? Not say the police. Otherwise, use say. Sonia said that you were in hospital. Not Sonia told that. Next, what did you say? But you can say something to somebody. Anne said goodbye to me and left. Not Anne said me goodbye. Let's practice. Here are some things that Sarah said to you. I never been to the United States. But later Sarah says something different to you. What do you say? Sarah, Dave works very hard, but you said he was lazy. Next. Complete the sentences with say or tell in the correct form. Use only one word each time. For example, Anne said goodbye to me and left. Questions in indirect speech. In indirect speech, questions have a direct word order, and the question mark at the end of the sentence is replaced by a period. General questions are introduced by the conjunctions if and whether. For example, I asked, have you seen my pen? I asked him whether or if he had seen my pen. Special questions are introduced by interrogative words. He wondered, who on earth will buy this junk? He wondered, who on earth would buy that junk? A short answer to an indirect speech question is introduced by the conjunction that without the words yes or no. For example, she answered, yes, I do. She answered that she did.